Hi and welcome to this playthrough video for Hope Lost. Hope Lost is a 2 to 4 player cooperative game, so players need to work together in order to survive or win the game. Today we're going to play through the alien abduction scenario, which is one of the 6 apocalypses that come with the game. First, let's go through the setup. So we have our cards here and our components. As for the cards, we're going to put the base and the sub-objective cards at the very center, surround them with the 6 location cards. And we'll go through these components in a little bit. And next we place the location dice on all of these locations. I'm going to set them to 1 because that's what the alien invasion setup tells us to do. Next up, we're going to place our tracker dice. So first we have our scenario die. This is the abducted civilians. That's going to be set to 0 for now. We have our morale that starts at 4, and the time tracker that starts at 6. Then we have our food, starts at 2, and survivors at 1, medicine at 1, apocalypse resources, at 0. And then we have our event dice that we're going to use for just rolling dice. This base value die is unused in this scenario. And we have our 3 meeple. I'm going to play a 3-player game. See if I can't win this. So, what are we looking at here? We have, I forgot one thing. Subjective token. So we have the 6 location dice. These have only 2 things of import. First of all is the location die value. In this scenario, here this means how many aliens are in that location, but that changes depending on the scenario that you're playing. And second of which, the resource values here. So as you can see, all of these locations have different icons by their die values, and those will be important when we're searching for materials later on. We have our sub-objective tracker. This just shows which sub-objective is active at this during this turn, and our base location, which is mostly used for tracking resources. So we have our survivors, medicine, and apocalypse resources, and these apocalypse resources will also be different depending on the scenario that you're playing. As a final bit to the additional setup required by the alien invasion scenario is we need to roll a die. And this is going to be our mothership. I rolled 5, so that means I got to place it by the location numbered 5 and set its value to 5 as well, so that's good. When this value reaches 0 or goes down from 1, we've won the game. Our objective for this scenario is to find alien technology scattered across the city and use it to destroy the mothership hovering above the planet. So as I said, this is the mothership, reduces his points to 0 in order to win. In this scenario, we have the apocalypse resources, which is the alien technology that we need to find. One final thing I forgot is we need to set the scenario die. So this die over here to 2. And that means that we start out with 2 abducted civilians. The aliens will come in and steal people. We need to make sure that that value never reaches 6, because then we lose the game. Alright, so that's setup done. Let's walk through the round structure. Every round in Hope Lost follows the same 6 steps. First off, we need to determine the sub-objective for that round. Then the apocalypse does some bad stuff, followed by player actions. Every player gets to perform 3 actions. We'll go through those during player turns. After player turns, we need to reduce food because we need to feed everyone at the base. Then we check for sub-objective success and gain and or lose morale or other things that might happen. And then we reduce the turn tracker and go on to the next round. So As a first step, we're going to roll the event die, and we roll the 4. So our current objective is objective number 4, which says Desolation. End the round with at least 2 meeple at base. On failure, we lose 1 morale, but we gain 1 morale with all the meeple at base. So that's our solo objective. Next, we do the start of round effects for the alien invasion apocalypse. So we need to move the alien location 1 location clockwise, so it goes from 5 to 6. And we increase the aliens at this location by 2, and to its left and right by 1. So this goes to 3, and these both go to 2. It's dropping off aliens left, right, and center. And lastly, we need to increase the abducted civilians by the number of survivors on the mothership location resource table. So this resource table here has 1 survivor icon, so we need to increase the abducted civilians by 1. And again, once that reaches 6, we lose the game. We can reduce that by defeating aliens at a location. Every 2 aliens that you defeat during your turn, you can reduce abducted civilians by 1, because you're saving them from the aliens. So that's it for the scenario effects. Now we go on to player turn. So a player has 3 basic actions that they can perform, and then the alien invasion apocalypse comes with 2 additional actions. The first action you have is to move. So you can take your meeple and move it to any location on the board, and usually that will come with some downsides based on the scenario that you're playing. But yeah, so I could take this one, move it to abandoned boat, and that would be an action I could perform. Second action is the search action. So let's say I was at the hazardous hospital, I could search, I would roll a die, and this time I rolled a 4. I check this table here, and with the 4 symbol, we find a apocalypse resource. So if I did that, I would take this resource die and increase it by 1. So this, in this case, it went from 0 to 1. If I found medicine, for example, with a 2 or a 3, I would increase medicine by 1. As a third action, you can heal. Players can get injured. When they're injured, they lay down. If they would then be injured again, they would die. In order to prevent that, you can use a medicine for an action to heal. So let's say I had 1 medicine, I would spend the 1 medicine and put the player meeple back up, and now all his injuries are fixed. So that's the 3 basic actions. Then the alien invasion apocalypse comes with 2 additional actions. One is fight aliens. So let's say I was here, there's 3 aliens here that I would like to fight. For an action, I could defeat one of the aliens, so this would always just go down by 1. And then we need to roll for damage, which means rolling a die with a 1 or a 2, in this case a 2, I would get injured. With a 4 or a 5, sorry, 1, 2, and 3 is injury. 4 and 5, nothing happens, and with a 6, you just get insta-killed. Alternatively, if we had alien technology resource, so the apocalypse resource, if we had 2 of those, we could spend those 2 resources to just straight up murder 3 aliens without rolling for damage. So we used our own technology against them. And lastly, as an action, we can, if we're on the location with the alien mothership die, which is this, we could spend 3 alien technology. So if we had, let's say we had 6 alien technology, we saved up, we'd spend 3 of those in order to reduce the mothership HP by 1. And that's what we need to do in order to win the game. Do that enough times and the mothership will be destroyed. So that's player actions. Let's see what we want to do now. So the main thing is we want to gather as many alien technologies as we can in order to either deal damage to aliens or the mothership itself. But we also need to end the round with at least 2 people at base. So I think I'm just going to ignore the sub objective for this round. So I'm going to go to whichever location gives me the most odds of finding alien technology, which is, in this case, the hazardous hospital. So I'm going to move there. And because I moved, I need to roll for damage because there's aliens everywhere and they're going to shoot at me. So I'm going to see if I make it alive. That's a 6. That's unlucky. So red is just straight up dead. The player's not out of the game at this point. We can come back and we'll see that next round. But since he's dead, that's it for red's turn this round. Let's move on to green. He's going to try and do the same thing, see if green does survive. That's a 1. It's injured. Still not great, but at least he made it alive. So at this point, he's going to search for his second action. That's a 2, so he found a medicine. And his third action, that's a 5, so he did find a alien technology resource. And that's it for green. And blue is going to do the same thing, but blue is going to move over to the weathered warehouse for a slight different, basically switches the medicine out for the food, and we'll need both to some degree. So that's his movement. He's going to search, or he's going to see if he gets injured. That's a 4, so he made it there safely, nothing happened. And then he's going to spend his next 2 actions to search. That's a 4, that's another resource, or sorry, another alien technology. And his third action, that's a 6, that's another alien technology resource. And that's it for player actions then. And we move on to reducing food. So currently we have 1 survivor at base. This red strip here says survivors. And we need to divide that by 2 and round it up. So that means 1. We need to reduce our food by 1. Next up, we have our solo objective check. Installation end the round with at least 2 meeple at base. We have 0 meeple at base. So we do lose the morale, but we kind of assumed we would. And last up, we reduce the turn tracker by 1. And that's the first round done. So we go back to the very top of the round structure list and we get our new sub-objective, which is 5. We move this down 1. This sub-objective says, festering wounds at the end of the round, all injured meeple die. So green is in a bit of a pickle, but we can use the medicine or the heal action to get him back up if need be. And then we do the start of round effect. So the alien mothership moves up 1, increases aliens here by 2, and surrounding locations by 1. It also increases the abducted civilians by the amount of survivor icons on the search table, but currently there are no survivor icons there, so they don't abduct any people. There's nobody at the abandoned abode. So we move on to player actions again. So first up is red. Red is dead, as we know. He's just sitting here all by his lonesome. But we can revive red. So what we do is we reduce survivors by 1. We basically take control of a survivor that was at the base. Oh, one thing we forgot, is that when red was killed, he wasn't actually killed, he was abducted by an alien. So we should have increased that by 1. So we took control of another survivor that was at the base, and red can still do his thing now. So what red is going to do, I think, is move up here. No, sorry, he's going to move down here because we are going to need some medicine in order to heal people. And because he moved, he needs to see if he's injured. He is injured because we rolled a 1. and he's going to use his other action. He's going to use one action to search. We'll start with one. That's a 5, so that's an alien technology. Yeah, and he's going to use his last action to heal up because otherwise he would die again, and that would be a waste of turns. So that's red. Next up, we go to green. Green is going to spend some action searching. That's a 1, so we find a survivor. Second action, that's a 4, so we find another alien technology resource. These resources can never go above 6, so it might be best to not search again. I mean, it was never good to search again because green also needs to use medicine to heal up and not die. And then we move on to blue. What I think blue is going to do is he is going to search. Yeah. That's a 4, so that's another alien technology. I was hoping for food, so 1 or a 2, so we can have some buffer for that. But this is fine. His second action is he's going to use the fight aliens action. So he's going to reduce the alien technology by 2 and defeat up to 3 aliens at his location. There's only 2, but they're both dead. And because we defeated 2 aliens in his turn, we rescued 1 of the civilians. So that's down by 1. And his final action, he's going to search again. And he did find a food this time, so that is good. That's it for player actions. So we now go on to reducing food. There is 1 person at base, so we need to reduce, or 1 survivor, sorry. So reduce food by 1. So objective, festering wounds. There is nobody who is dead. Nobody is injured, so nobody dies. And we survived that. And lastly, we reduce the turn tracker by 1. If the turn tracker reaches 0 before we destroy the alien mothership, we lose the game. So we do kind of need to start damaging the mothership. So that's it for turn 2. We're going to move on to turn 3 and check our new sub-objective, which is 3 in this case. Supply shortage requires 2 apocalypse resources, and if we fail, we lose 1 morale. So we kind of just want to keep doing what we've been doing and just search for apocalypse resources. But I'm sure that'll be fine. So that's the objective. Then the mothership moves again, keeps floating above the city, and increases this by 2, this by 1, and this by 1. Nothing bad happens when the aliens at a location reach 6, so we can kind of let them keep going, but we do need to defeat aliens in order to make sure that the abducted civilians never reaches 6, because that is a bad thing. There is a survivor icon on this card, so we do need to increase this by 1. Another survivor is abducted. And that's it for apocalypse effects, and we're on to player actions. So green, I think, is going to... Sorry, red. Red is going to search his location to get those resources and or medicine back up. That's the 1. That's a survivor. That is neither of those things. Search again. 6, that's alien technology. And he's just going to search again. That's 4, that's another technology. So we're at max alien technology now, that's good. Green then is going to move over to the warehouse to be with his buddy blue. Wait, no, actually, let's stick around here for a bit and use 2 of these resources to kill 3 aliens here. Just to get, it's basically free anyway. So we reduce this by 1, we saved someone from the aliens, and then we move. We roll the die, see if we get injured. That is another straight up kill, but at least we saved a survivor with green. So then we're up to blue. Blue is going to, because he's already at the location with the mothership, he can just use 3 resources, 3 alien technology, to shoot the mothership that is one step closer to victory. And now we need to get those resources back up because we do need 2 apocalypse resources for the sub-objective. That's a 6, so we are good for the sub-objective, but I'm going to search again because we will need more of these. That's a 5. Alright, so that's player turns for this round. We move on to reducing food. There's 2 people, 2 survivors at the base, so we reduce food by 1. We're down to 0 food. Sub-objective success. We need to spend these 2 apocalypse resources in order to succeed. I am going to do that because morale is kind of hard to get back up. And then we move on to the turn tracker. This goes down to 3. 3 more turns to deal 4 damage. Next round then, new sub-objective. That's a 4 again, so we need to end up with people at the base. I am tempted to just ignore this again because we have 3 morale for... That is not true. We have 1 morale because every time a player dies, you reduce morale by 1, and I forgot to do that both times that people were killed. So I'm thinking we're going to have to move everyone to the base just to get the morale back up, but that is going to take, that's going to cost us a lot of actions that we could otherwise spend on defeating the alien mothership. Well, we'll figure that out as we get there. So apocalypse rounds, apocalypse effects, mothership moves 1 location, increases this by 2, and these by 1. And there are 2 people here, so this is getting scarily close to another lose situation. Right, so we're going to have to do some damage control here. Red is going to spend 2 actions searching because he's at a good location. There's not a lot of aliens, not enough aliens to kill to save a survivor or save an abducted civilian. He finds a survivor though, and he's going to use another action to search. It's 2, that's medicine. And his 3rd action, he's going to move back to base for the sub-objective. Roll for damage. 3, that is an injury. But he's not dead, so that's good. Next up is green. Green is going to respawn here, take control of a survivor. I have a feeling we're going to lose this anyway. Because if blue also comes to the base in order to save, in order to increase the morale, we won't have enough food, meaning morale is going to go to 0 anyway. And the only way to prevent that is to find food, and 2 of them at that. Yeah, so I think that's the only way to save this. So blue is going to go to the Ransack restaurant because there's a decent odds of food there. Roll for damage. So 3 is also an injury, but you can still search. So we're going to hope and find roll some more 3s, maybe. 4, that is very much not what I was hoping for. Survivor. 5 is also not what I was hoping for. Yeah, I can do a bit of damage control, but there's many ways that we've lost this game. Blue's going to spend 2 of these apocalypse resources, or the alien technology, to defeat these 2 aliens, reducing abducted civilians by 1, so we're at less danger there. But that is then it for player actions, meaning that first of all, we check for food. We have 5 people at base, that means we need 3 food, we have 0, so we reduce morale by 1. Meaning we've lost the game. Next up would have been the mothership moving here, increasing inductive civilians by 1, so that's why I brought that down to 4. Otherwise we would have lost there. Yeah, that's a loss for this round, but hopefully that gave you some idea of how the game plays. If you want to check it out yourself, the game is available as a print and play on BoardGameGeek, currently participating in a 9-card Nanogame print and play contest. So yeah, feel free to check it out, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.